Welcome to another episode of Morning Mojo with me, Shane Solomon. Delighted to have on the sofa here in the studio this morning, Jordan Bell, all the way from Falmouth. Jordan, I'm going to get straight into the content here. What makes a successful salesperson, my friend?
Well, I expect you're going to get someone who can answer that. Well,
in your opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion. I think probably most importantly these days is the ability to have and hold a proper conversation with someone face to face or over whatever medium the person you're speaking to chooses. So important, so important. Especially in at the minute, people will transact online through digital means, and the face to face contact element is diminishing over time. So the actual ability to hold that conversation with someone is so important.
So where did you learn your sales techniques?
We refer to it as people have got the gift of the gab, I suppose, but that's I suppose it's just some people have it, some people don't. That sounds harsh. You can either talk and chat with people about any subject for any length of time. You either can or you can't. Both my parents were from the licensed trade, publicans, kind of from catering world, so they're very much kind of front of house people as well. So I kind of brought up in that environment as well.
Yeah. So let's find out about your inspirations then growing up, which is obviously only a few years ago. You're not that old, you're in your prime, of course. So, what have been your inspirations growing up?
Well, my let's say my dad played a really a big role in my life growing up. So he was very much the big personality, and a lot of that, I like to think I've taken some elements of that. He was a very confident person, and you learn a lot from watching and listening. And also from years ago, actually working myself in and around the licensed trade and that sort of things, working in nightclubs as a younger man, having to have face-to-face contact with a lot of people from a relatively young age. It does bring it out of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think working in the pub trade, nightclubs, things like that, you're very much chucked into being a people person.
Yeah. It's you soon get found out if you're not.
And would you say that you're good in terms of switching modes? One of the skills I find I'm very blessed to have, and I guess I've honed it over the years, is whichever scenario I'm in, I can kind of like a chameleon change. So I could be at a backstreet car garage, not as nice and prestigious, say at Ocean BMW in Falmouth, and I can be in a backstreet garage and I'll talk in their language. But then I could also be at the Houses of Parliament in Strangers Restaurant having dinner with an MP and a couple of associates and talk in their language. Is that a skill that you think is important and one that you possess?
Yeah, very much so. It is absolutely important. We have to be able to converse with people that are from a background where they aspire to our brand. They've earned up to our brand. They've wanted it for a while. They could buy something cheaper elsewhere, but they're choosing to buy through us. And quite equally, we have to then converse with people that have plenty of disposable income, that are from a different walk of life.
Sure.
And may expect a different type of conversation. So you have to be able to change as per the person in front of you.
Now, of course, you work at Ocean BMW in Falmouth. It's part of the Ocean Group, selling the aspirational car that is BMW. I'm very fortunate to drive a BMW, and they're beautiful cars. Now, for people who aspire to have these prestige brands, what kind of advice would you give them for success? It's a very broad area, of course, but, to keep people on track, how do you motivate yourself? How do you keep your goals going? Any kind of tips and tricks for aspiring people to think, I can't quite afford a BMW yet, or they might think they can't, by the way. It is possible. But just to open their mind, in general kind of motivation.
So I think that motivation is extremely personal to the individual. As we spoke about earlier, there's a host of resources you can look at online. For example, if you're a person that responds to motivational quotes and speeches and things like that, there's so many things like that you can look at online, and inspiration you can draw from key individuals. But I think more importantly, you have to find what is important to you in yourself. Me personally, it's my family, my kids. They're the ones that keep me going each day. Everyone has good and bad days. But I think it's really important to find those key markers in your life which make you get out of bed in the morning and make you want to do the best you can on a day-to-day basis.
Hmm. You just mentioned there that everyone has bad days, and of course we do. What do you do when it's not working? So it could be at work, it could be family, and we all get one of those moments you think, oh, for goodness sake, how do you quickly switch that mode?
Again, yeah, I think you can go back to those key markers you have. You can go back to the things that are important to you, myself, my family, those sort of things. But it's times like that where sometimes if you're fortunate enough to be able to draw from experience, you can. But I think if you have to have those kind of mainstays in your life where when it's not going to plan, you can actually take a look back and go, do you know what? It's not so bad. Let's deal with the problem in hand. But these are things that are important to me. That's all right. Let's deal with this.
Absolutely. I want to touch on your military career as well, because you had a military career as well. What can you tell me about that, and what kind of skills did you take from the military into what you're doing now?
So yeah, you're absolutely right. I was in the British Army, part of the Household Cavalry. I was in the Blues and Royals between 2007 to 2011. I came out of the army December 2011, and within a few weeks had joined Ocean BMW. There's plenty of transferable skills from the military to whatever career path that you choose. I think the trick is putting that in a medium and in a format that your prospective employer can understand and can appreciate. There's not much use me saying, well, I can operate certain military communications devices and weapon systems. That doesn't have too much bearing on car sales, but unfortunately, but yeah. So it's just about finding what getting those key skills, and making sure that when you're transitioning from military to civilian employment, that you absolutely make the most of those. Whether that's how you write it up on your CV or how you present yourself as an individual, that's something for you to determine on a one-to-one basis. But just saying I've been in the army isn't quite enough, I don't think.
No, sure. And it's one of those things. I've not done the military, and I don't know. I don't know how I could do it. I think I'm afraid of getting shot. It's one of those things.
It's understandable.
I think about it. You get to see the world, and they sell it so good at school. I remember it. They were like, "Yeah, I could do that," and then I think, "Hang on a minute, I could get shot here." Do you know everything? You're going to get shot?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing is, when you join up, especially to a combat unit like I was in, you accept that is a potential that could happen. And it's not flag waving, and you don't it's not something that you look for recognition of. That's just it is part of the job. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, unfortunately, that does happen. It's not that it's it doesn't mean that it's any less saddening when it does happen. But when you join the military, I think in certain units you have to accept that that's a pathway you could go down.
I just want to talk just very briefly about our sponsor for this podcast. I want to say a massive thank you to Martin and Budge Menswear in Bodmin. They are a wonderful traditional menswear shop there. They sell amazing suits and shirts, like the one I'm wearing today. This is a Claudio Lughi shirt, and they look after me really well. So if you're looking to look the part, you don't have to be loud shirts. They do normal ones too. Then make sure you go and see them. Jeff and Lee, they'll take good care of you. But that is a link to success and how you dress. Now, you've come here today very sharp and looking very smart. Of course, that comes with the job you do. But how important would you say it is to dress to feel success?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it is down to the individual. You know, like you thank you for the compliments. In fact, at work recently, there has been talk, and we have mentioned that certain retailers have started to ease off a little bit, and that's probably in recognition of the customers that come into our business. Not all of them wear suits, shirt and tie anymore. It's quite rare actually to see people coming in dressed up. But it's how, like you say, it's how you feel, how you want to feel, how you want to be interpreted, how you want people to perceive you. Absolutely, first impressions do matter, I believe.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how the impressions would work if I started day one working at Ocean BMW and I was wearing my Claudio Lughi shirt. It's probably a bit too much for the brand, isn't it? It's a bit too much.
You might get taken up. Everyone might be wearing them.
Let's talk about Ocean BMW for a while. It's an amazing business here in Cornwall and Devon. And for me, it's all about choice with BMWs, and they've got an amazing range. I love them all, to be fair. But electric, let's
Yeah.
talk about that. It's very much topic sustainability in life and things like that. Everyone needs to be doing their bit. Where's the future of petrol and diesel? We know that the government's going to say stop making them soon, but you know, how much longer can we enjoy these wonderful machines?
So there's still the majority of the cars that we sell are still petrol and diesel cars. They are you can't argue with the economy and the technology in those cars. Absolutely superb. The electric influx of models into the range has if one of the things it's done is it's driven this huge amount of innovation from our brand and other brands as well. It's good to see, there's this we've all noticed over the past few years certain quirky cars driving around, and you think, well, what is that? But the innovation in design and technology is something to behold, and it's only going to keep getting better. And that technology moves across to petrol and diesel as well, and the cars, are just getting better and better. To put a date on in terms of when are we going to stop driving these cars, I don't know. But at the minute, I would say that the market is still strong, whichever you choose to buy.
Mm, mm. And if you was to pick any car out of the BMW range for you personally, what would it be?
Personally, at the minute, it would be the i5, the new
Okay.
electric 5 Series. I'm very lucky and privileged to be driving one, and they're just about to release the touring version. So I think I have my name down on one of those next if I'm able to.
And what I love about the electric vehicles, and this is a topic in itself, is the fact they've moved on from the 60-mile range now. They do seem to be a little bit more, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're very lucky in Cornwall as a region, in that the spine of the county is serviced by the A30, and along the A30, especially as you get down to where I live down in southwest Cornwall.
Mhm.
The charging network, the rapid charging network, is getting better and better. It's not quite there yet, but you go back a couple of years compared to what it is now, and it's infinitely better now. You're never within more than a few miles of a charger of sorts. Most supermarkets have them in the car parks now. Most Cornwall Council car parks have got them, if not getting them. The likes of Fastned and other businesses are coming into the county. There's a bank of 300 kilowatt chargers coming in at Tolvaden recently. There's Osprey chargers popping up all over the place. So we are very lucky with the network down here. BMW have been making electric and electric cars for quite some time. The i3 being the most notable one, which people recognise is quite a quirky looking car. And Cornwall is actually quite a good indicator of how just ease of use, short journeys, things like that. It seems to work really well, especially if you combine it with a home charging box. Then it's even easier again.
I must admit, I did enjoy the i3. I did test drive the i3. It was a great vehicle. But I think for me, my favorite of all time so far has got to be the M3, that green M3 that I test
Yeah,
drove.
yeah.
That was remarkable. And I remember picking up Darren Buckley from a chamber breakfast. And I thought I'd just give him a little spin in it just to kind of inspire him, that's what I like to do, inspire people to, go for bigger, better cars. And anyway, he was in the car and it was on a private road, luckily enough. So I just put the foot down just to show the acceleration, the 0 to 60 bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, his phone absolutely flew into the back. He was not prepared for it. And if he's watching this back, which I know he will be, good memories there, Darren. I do remember that. But that was an absolutely beautiful machine.
Yeah.
And not just for the speed, but just the whole experience and everything like that. And I always say to people, look, if you can't afford the car right now, at least test drive it and get in that mindset of your goals and getting there and putting your hands around the steering wheel and feeling it and smelling the interior and all those things, those senses that, I operate on a kind of very, for a simple man, a high level of thought and frequency. And I believe strongly that if you think the same thought over and over again and you really believe it to be true, it can and it will come true. You've got to take action, of course. There's no good just airy-fairy dreaming. You've got to, take steps towards your goals. But I encourage people, whether it's BMW, whether it's another brand, have that feeling of having it now and test drive it so you know if it's right for you.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. We are a hugely aspirational brand, and very proud of what we do. And I absolutely agree with you. Come and have a test drive. Start from there.
And I think also it's affordable now as well that, you don't have to pay for a BMW up front if it's £50,000, if it's £20,000 or if it's £100,000, you could, there's payment plans, there's, ways around to do it. And you get all that benefit of, I think, of having the service when it's, brand new, you don't have to have MOT for 3 years and things like that. There's so many advantages. And not only that, after 3 years, you might change your mind.
Yeah.
I've got a very dear friend of mine who's a multi-millionaire, lives in Las Vegas, and he drives BMW, funny enough, but he literally just leases it for 3 years and then he'll change his mind. He said, the thing is, a car, once you've had a car and you get that new kind of feeling of, wow, this is great. He said, over a few years, it just becomes a car again. Yeah. And you need that, or he says he needs that kind of excitement as something different.
Yeah, we offer, there's many different ways to purchase a car, whether that's through, a personal avenue or business as well. And business is where we've seen some quite impressive growth over the last few years, especially with regard to electric vehicles. Huge benefits to business users through putting a car through the business.
Indeed, and that's a great conversation to be having with your accountants and things like that to find exactly how you can benefit from it. But Jordan, time is quickly running out. This is the frustrating thing with the Morning Mojo podcast. Is there anything that you'd like to leave with our audience? Any words of wisdom, favorite quotes, any kind of thing that if people are listening to this or watching on YouTube, they go, that Jordan Bell, he's some guy.
Well, when you said come on to discuss sales, I did think perhaps you meant to get Jordan Belfort on. But, yeah, got the wrong one. Got the Red Ruth version. Yes, I'm not going to do that to you.
That's a great film, though, right?
Yeah, great film.
Yep.
Great film. So ultimately, if you take anything from anything I've said, life is short, make the most of it. Absolutely. You have to put yourself in a position each day. If you can give 100%, you have to do it. You owe it to yourself, to your family, to your employer. There's so many people who aren't in that position and will never be in that position and would love to be in that position. So if you can, you have to do it. You only get one shot at this. In terms of quotations, not quite relevant to what we 100% to what we're talking about, but there are some links back to the business world if you put them there. It's actually a Mike Tyson quote, and I'm going to paraphrase it terribly, I think. It's the people that fight you are not always your enemy, and the people that help you are not always your friend. So take from it what you will.
Yes, I like that. I've not heard that one before as well. So that's nice. I like that.
There's other Mike Tyson quotes which are not really suitable, but yeah, that one is.
I'm going to do a little Google on that later on. Well, Jordan, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you in here. Thank you so much for making the effort to come up. And personally, I'm a big fan of what you guys do at Ocean. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. And of course, we've got the Royal Cornwall Show coming up again this year, which we'll see you at. Well, there we go. That's the end of this podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, and follow for future episodes. I'd like to say thank you, as always, to our sponsor, Martin & Budge Menswear in Bodmin. Honestly, these two guys, they're independent. They're still doing their thing. They've got great service. Go and check out their wonderful stuff. They've got a whole range of Mark Darcy suits up there, all different brands. You're going to absolutely love it. It's like stepping back in time when you got there. It's like, are you being served? Do you remember that? You're probably a bit before your time.
Just.
Ding dong. But as always, thank you to the behind the scenes team, of course, Megan and Jay, for putting all this together and making it what it is on the podcast. So until next time, from myself and Jordan, we bid you farewell. Have an amazing day.